Welcome to Montgomery Week in Review. Over a third of people in Montgomery County live in rental units. Montgomery County League of Women Voters has just finished a study of the renting issue in our county. Elaine Apter, the co-president of the League of Women Voters of Maryland, will tell us all about this review. EveryMind, as we all know, is formerly the Mental Health Association of Montgomery County, is celebrating this year its 60th anniversary. Ann Mazur, the CEO of EveryMind, will tell us about an amazing event they just had to celebrate this 60 years, and the 4 honorees who were specially recognized at the event. Fullbright will be meeting soon. Fullbright Alumni Association, representation countries all around the world. Fullbright's one of the most important things this country has done over the last 60 years. Dr. Bruce Fowler, a graduate of the program, actually 70 years, will tell us all about the topics that will be covered at the Fullbright gathering. Summer camp is not only for children who need to get out of the city and away from their parents. Adults can also benefit from summer programs as well. Stuart Rosenthal, editor and publisher of The Beacon, will tell us about a number of these experiences that The Beacon has recently become aware of, or of which it's become aware. I'm going to use that proper grammar.
Whoa.
Elaine Apter, how
Hi
are you?
there. I'm great. Thank you.
We think of Montgomery County mostly of families and individuals. They're owning their homes. They're, it's suburbia.
Right.
Real shocker
Our
to me that a
bedroom
third
community.
of the county is made up of renters. That's interesting.
Yeah, the league, Montgomery County League of Women Voters, looked at this topic, and it was really interesting what they came out with. First of all, we think of renting as an apartment building, but they can be an apartment. They can be a condo that somebody's renting out.
Everything.
They can be houses.
Right.
And also the type of people that are renting, all ages, all ethnic groups, all
Right.
Everything.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So a lot of, I think, looking at this a little bit, much of the issue right now is sort of the older and the younger generation.
Right.
Competing for this rental space.
The pressure for the rental space now are basically the millennials and the baby boomers.
Okay.
The millennials, they're the ones that really don't want a house. They can't afford a house. They've usually got college.
Right. Okay. Those are millennials.
And they want cars. They want transportation. They want to be close to everything and have fun. And same thing, baby boomers. They don't want to take care of that big house. So they also want to downsize and have transportation.
So many of them have sold their house.
They've sold their, or they're renting their house.
Or they're renting their house out and they've moved to.
Right,
Very
and
interesting.
they've moved in, yeah.
So what's bringing all these people now suddenly into the market? The millennials are moving here from downtown D.C.?
Or from the suburbs, or from the Gaithersburg and the far out, and they're getting rid of their large houses, and they're coming in and they get transportation and they get their shopping, they get easy access to the city.
So we see the boom in Bethesda, we see the boom in building in Silver Spring,
Right.
Rockville, and that's a direct result of all this?
It is, and people tell me all the time, all these apartment buildings going up, who's renting them? Well, we have a 1% vacancy rate compared to 5% in the rest of the country. So it really is interesting. And then we can't forget the families, though. There is a whole other group that really are looking for a different kind of housing. They're looking for like the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and there's not many of that available. And they're mostly older housing.
How about the immigrants coming into this county from other places with young children?
Right, and that's the ones too that need the little cheaper housing, and that becomes the older housing. And then one of their main complaints, and we see it all the time, the landlord-tenant complaints. And Montgomery County has done some good things. One, they've passed a bill, 1917, I think it is, or 15, that actually says they are going to inspect every rental unit in the next 2 years, and they're going to go after the landlords. After, I think it's a third time, if a landlord does not fix something, they will fix it and charge.
Because we had a lot of,
the landlord,
and that came out of
the
a lot of
owner.
complaints about landlords not really caring,
Right.
the county not really doing. I know there's a tenant organization that's really
Yes,
worked
and
hard.
now too, yes, and they can get free, the tenants can get free help, and if they have lawsuits against or problems against the landlords, they can get free help from the county, has set that up.
Are the developers building a universal design so that people of all ages can live in these facilities?
And abilities.
Yeah, and abilities,
right.
mostly, they're trying. I think the main thing is the larger units. They're smaller units. And the other thing, the good thing about some of the older apartments is they're usually larger bedrooms, and for families, larger living rooms. A lot of, not a lot, but some of the rental units are interesting now because they have like 2 master bedrooms and bathrooms, because you know, they have people living
Multi-generational
together,
families,
multi-generation, or you know, their friends living together, and it's not like a mother-daughter or child.
We have about a
And
minute
you
left.
You spoke about the need for families for rental
Yes.
units. What are the trends for single-family home rentals? We see the new apartment complexes going up, but
Right. And most of those, again, are pretty far out if people are downsizing and don't want to sell and want to rent it out. And they're the ones that, and a lot of the families like it because they'll have maybe the yards and some of the
Schools.
suburban and the schools.
Right.
Right.
We have about
So-
20 seconds left. Any final word on this? Are we hopeful about the rental situation? We have a lot of problems ahead, but maybe just 10 seconds.
Yeah, I think we're hopeful about it, but if we really solve the problem, more high-rises are going to go up in Montgomery County. There's
Smart
no
growth,
question about it.
whatever that is.
Right.
All right. Hey, thank you, Elaine,
Okay.
very much. Ann,
yes.
I had the honor of being at that event at EveryMind. What a great event! Congratulations, 60 years old. You're showing your age very well.
Yes.
Very excited about that. Tell us a little bit about first. You know, I think one of the things that we all take for granted is this parity, physical, mental health. A lot of discussion. Why should we care about mental health? Why should we need an organization dedicated to ensuring that we're as healthy mentally as we can be in this county and around?
One of the primary reasons, obviously, is to strengthen the community and the families, and it starts with our friends, our family. Mental health concerns affect 1 in 4 in our population, and if it's not me or you, it's our neighbor, our friend, a family member, a loved one. So it really does impact the entire community.
60 years, and you celebrated. I know you highlighted, and we were talking about this in the opening, highlighted a number of people. Maybe real briefly, you could just sort of, let's look at 1 or 2 of them to say, see what, why were they highlighted, and what does it tell us about EveryMind?
Absolutely, and we highlighted just a few people and a small bit of our work because we do actually do work from youth all the way to older adults. So the first organization that we highlighted was the Boeing Company. And the reason that we highlighted the Boeing Company is they have become a partner of ours in supporting the military veterans and their families.
Your Great Serving Together program.
Exactly.
Right.
And so through Serving Together, Boeing has partnered with us both financially and also pro bono work, working with us in order to expand the program and the services.
Which has to do with PTSD, that kind of thing, helping returning veterans who are having emotional issues from the
Serving
war?
Together in particular, actually, we connect the veterans and their families members with any and all services in the community. So it might be healthcare, employment, housing, and all of those services.
I've heard him talk about in the show before, navigation. They're
Exactly.
navigators helping through, so all the stovepiping that's around. And yeah, Chris
Yeah.
Van Hollen, our
Yes.
senator, was discussed. It was honored there as well. What's Senator Van Hollen, who just a great leader, but what's he done specifically in mental health?
Absolutely, and we were so pleased to have him there with us last night. Senator Van Hollen, as you mentioned, we were the Mental Health Association for many years, and he's been working hand in hand for at least 20, probably 25 years. When he started in local government and now at the national, but has always been a leader in the forefront with parity. There was, many people spoke last night that it's only been, I think, 8 years since we've had
That's right.
national parity, meaning that insurance companies include and cover mental health services as well as physical health.
Is this helping people come out and admitting that they need help if they have insurance coverage and that stigma is not as...
Absolutely, absolutely. I think if your health plan covers mental health services just as well as physical health services, that it, I guess we could say, normalizes maybe, or that going to a therapist is just like going to your
I
primary
think we still have
care.
a ways to go on that. It's not exactly parity. I mean, they pay for a certain number of visits a year or something, but
Correct.
it's nothing like the kind of care that could be needed for a lot of people.
Absolutely, we have a very long way to go.
What about proposed cuts to the ACA? What will that do to these programs?
That will absolutely have a negative impact on these programs, and that was one of the things that the senator did highlight in his comments last night, and the importance, because within ACA, that is where much of the coverage for mental health services is, and that's a huge concern, and he has been definitely one of the leaders and a very outspoken leader to maintain the Affordable Care Act, or obviously the mental health service and components of the ACA.
We've got about a minute left. So Dorian Gensler was another awardee, and the Pauls were the fourth awardees.
Absolutely.
Joy Paul's been on this show before, very engaged on it. Dorian Gensler, what's Dorian Gensler done in Channel 4? What have they done for all this? Again, about 45 seconds left.
Absolutely. They started about 4 years ago a campaign called Changing Minds, and you can go to the NBC4 website, and they basically are highlighting organizations like ours or other nonprofits in the community that are working with mental illness, and they're really trying to your question earlier, let people understand and engage and reduce that stigma, and really making it a part of everyday conversation. And that campaign has done that, and they've partnered with us to support our work, and having a media partner that also is really not just for our organization, but others, across the board. So.
Yeah, not often we see major media folks like Dorian Gensler, Leon Harris, others that you had there getting emotional, but they did about this topic. Thank you so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
be right back after these messages. And we're back. Bruce Fowler, welcome back.
I'm glad to be here.
We've talked about so many different topics with you, and science and government and environment. We're now talking about something, not that you don't love those others, but something near and dear to your heart, Fullbright. You were a Fullbright scholar. Maybe we could do, because we have so many Fulbrighters in Montgomery County, but there's a little bit of a mystique. What is Fullbright, and what's it all about?
The Fullbright Program is named after Senator William Fulbright, whose brainchild it was, and it was formed in 1946. So it's been in business over 70 years. It's basically the flagship exchange program of the U.S. Department of State. And about half the Fulbrighters are U.S. who go to foreign countries, and about half are people from foreign countries who come to the U.S. And the idea is to increase international understanding. And it's worked amazingly well. It's also among the most highly leveraged program. It is the most highly leveraged program in the U.S. government.
I look at my former career was international affairs, and so many leaders around the world are Fulbrighters. We have Fulbrighters in Congress, Fulbrighters as governors, but especially, I mean, we look at prime ministers and presidents around the world,
Yes.
and what that must do in terms of their feelings about the United States and this relationship among folks, and also in the sciences and the arts and all around.
Well, to go back to the heads of state, the statistics are that there are about 192 countries in the world. Mm-hmm. About 60 of those have current or former Fulbrighters as their heads of state.
It's a hell of a record.
What kind of programs do they have when they come in that gets them up to that level?
Well, to be selected as a Fulbright scholar is the most scrutinized program I've ever been involved with. These people are selected very, very carefully for a variety of things. The important thing is, the key criteria is that the Fulbright committee, selection committee, has to believe that the person coming in will be interactive. They regard it as mini ambassadors, in other words. So they're not going to go sit in a library someplace and not talk to anybody. They're expected to go out, give lectures, interact with people in whatever country they're in, and become part of the milieu. And that's what makes it work.
And maybe teaching, as I understand, maybe teaching, maybe studying, doing all sorts of things. Now you've got a big Fulbright event coming up. You're
Yes.
one of the leaders here, and so tell us about it.
Okay, the Fulbright has an annual conference. This year it will be in Washington, and November 5, 6, and 7 at the Marriott downtown. And there will be people coming in from all over the world for this. We have a panel that I'm involved with, and Don's involved with also, on human rights. So looking at human rights through some different lenses, I think, would be the way to say it. So we're going to look at it through the point of view of environmental rights, the fact that we have a right to a clean environment, a healthy environment, and people in other countries do too. And we're going to get into something called the NIMBY syndrome, which is not in my backyard, which means dumping of things that are not healthy in other countries. A person who has spent 25 years working for the Department of Labor is going to talk about worker rights and the fact that worker rights are not the same everywhere in the world. And the third will be Don, talking about legal rights of immigrants and people coming into this country, and why it's important, you know, who we are as a people, that we treat people coming in with dignity and with equality.
Is this a conference that anyone can attend, or is?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Yeah,
open.
no,
to
it's open, and you have to pay to register, but it's the whole purpose is to reach out to as many people as possible, because we're trying to increase international understanding. But to do that, we have to increase understanding of the program here in the United States. I mean, it's recognized by the people who know about it as well known.
So what else goes on during the course of the 3-day conference besides this panel?
Oh, well, there are several panels. This is just one of them. Fulbright has an interest
So 30 seconds left.
in the environment, for example, clean water, things like that, but social issues, in addition to things like social justice. And
Will North Korea be on the agenda?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I couldn't answer.
Indirectly, but I think, as I understand also, I mean, you're going up on Capitol Hill as well to help
Yeah.
explain these numbers and help folks understand.
Is this unusual that the conference is in the United States, or?
It alternates. Next year it'll be in Mexico, and it comes back to the United States.
Okay,
They move it around.
Well, I wish you the best, and I'll see you there.
You will.
And look forward to it. Thank you very much for this. It's a great program.
Happy to do it.
Stuart.
Don.
So we've got folks going out for 1 year long camp as Fulbrighters.
No. Oh, I see. Yes.
And now we're coming at camps in the summertime, basically, in the arts and other things. Tell us about
Well, we're
what
calling
a
it camp
fascinating thing.
almost tongue-in-cheek. What really is the situation is the Peabody School of Music in Baltimore has for a number of years now had a 1-week program for adults in the summer. In the summer, there's not so many students at the Peabody. They don't really have a
Right.
summer program. So they have all kinds of exchange programs and things coming on. And one of them is for people in the area who play piano or want to play piano or want to know more about piano. And they go and they just involve themselves for a week in lectures and recitals and performances and practices and duets and one thing after another. They have 2 tracks, classical and jazz. And since it's a whole week and it's really aimed at adults, it tends to attract a more older crowd. So that's
cool
why it
is
was
that?
a Beacon story.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you put away your phone, put away any distractions.
Move into the
and
dorms, go to the eat in the cafeteria.
Oh, cool.
Right. Yeah.
That is so great. So are we seeing this kind of thing, not just up in Baltimore with this, but are we seeing more and more? I mean, it sounds like a little bit like Elder Hostel.
Honestly, I had never heard of this before. I was not.
Right.
Well, it was at one time run by Elder Hostel.
Okay.
But they pulled out. But I was actually myself had gone to the Van Cliburn piano competition in Texas earlier this summer. That's every 4 years there's this
Okay,
international
I thought you were going to say
competition.
Van Cliburn when you were a kid. And you
I
were
was. I
bigger.
grew up there. No, I never
And you
played.
were- oh,
I
okay.
just
I
attended.
didn't realize about
No,
that
I just
story.
attended. I loved going to this. So I went there for fun, and there I met somebody from here who goes to this Peabody program and told me all about it. I said, well, "This is very interesting. We should do a story about it in the Beacon." So I went for a day to see what this camp was all about, and the people there were amazing. There were newcomers who had never played piano before or hadn't played it since they were young. There were people who had been going to this camp for literally 25 years.
And still can't play.
No, they play.
No,
No.
I'm just- I'm
Well,
sorry.
actually, a woman who was 89 years old said to me, "I play lots of instruments badly, but I don't care. I just do it for myself."
Amen.
Do they do other instruments or other
This is just this
arts?
in
It's
particular is just piano.
piano.
It's piano. It's jazz and classical piano, and they have great speakers. The jazz was run by a guy who used to play for Blood, Sweat, and Tears and study with Dizzy Gillespie, and he was fascinating. And it's just a really exciting program.
Well, this sounds very consistent with what you all are doing a bit in this whole year-long focus on the arts.
That's right. It ties in. The Beacon is instituting a program for the coming year called Celebration of the Arts, in which we're encouraging our readers and other people over the age of 50, amateurs, to try a new art or craft that they have not done either since they were young or ever before. Pick it up again and take some of the we're going to write about the different classes and different programs around the community that people can take. And then in the spring, we're going to have a regional competition where we're going to have cash prizes and gallery tours and such for the winners. And we have 4 categories, so everybody should know what's going on. There's painting of any sort. There's, we call 3D art. It's sculpture, jewelry, found object, any kind of mixed kind of media art. And then it's photography and poetry. So we're trying to cover a lot of ground here, but anybody who has an interest in any of those things is welcome to take a class or just go practice again what they used to do and then enter the contest in the spring, which I'll tell you more about at the time.
I love this. I mean, you're helping and encouraging people to live out their bliss.
Well,
which
it came
is
from
what
an
it's all
idea
about.
from a reader, actually. A reader contacted us and said, her mother passed away last year, but at the age of 90, my mother took up painting for the first time in her life. And she loved it so much that she then took up sculpture, and then she took up photography. And for 10 years, till she died at the age of 100, she was just involved in all the arts and blossomed in a way she never knew she could have before.
Are you going to give us an idea of where some of these classes are
Yes,
that
absolutely.
we can take?
Right, sure.
Great.
Yeah.
There's
Just
some
read the Beacon
questions-
every month. We're going to have something about
And
it.
to,
On
and to
website.
tie into Fullbright here, just to say,
Yeah.
because so much of Fullbright is the arts and this and celebration, but this would be a perfect Fulbright study in the future, is the impact of this sort of program on the community in Montgomery County, and then taking that back to Germany or Kenya or
That
China
would be
or
exciting.
wherever they
Yeah,
are. This
yeah.
is
Everybody I tell about it, they say, "What a great idea," and it's like, I guess it is.
Yeah, and I think even for the older adult community in particular, and
Yes.
some of our working
Right.
with older adults and just even friendship, et cetera, but getting them involved in
Sure.
the arts.
Well, we
and-
hope that you'll all participate and help us
Yes.
out. That'd be
Yes,
great.
yeah.
we're not old
Like
yet.
fun.
Over 50 is all.
Over
I'm not
50?
old, but I'm
Okay.
over 50, so okay, we're
Okay.
all there.
Okay.
As we try to do, you've got health issues. We've got about a minute left.
Okay, we have our
Let's-
housing section in the October issue. It's a pull-out section with all kinds of information on housing, including Rudy the Robot, who is being built in Virginia and is going to be a basically age in place with this robot to be your home assistant. It's very interesting.
Okay.
There's also, of course, programs for the utility companies. They'll come out to your house and help you change all your bulbs over and save energy in lots of ways, and it's all free. Lots of different useful things in that section. And we have a great travel section about repositioning cruises. That you go when the cruise lines go back in
I've done
twice a
that.
year when they go from one side of the world to the other. You take the cruise, and it's much less expensive, and it's just a very long, relaxed cruise, and people have a great time on those. So.
Yes.
And you feel fully repositioned at the end of it.
Let's hope so.
Ready to get back to it.
Maybe you put a little weight on, but otherwise you're repositioned.
Stuart, it's always a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank
Thank you so much with these stories and so much more in this month's Beacon.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for joining me today. And I want to thank all of you in the viewing audience for joining us for this week's edition of Montgomery Week in Review. I'm Don Mooers, inviting you to join us next week at this very same time.